Hi guys, welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 5, Slope as Unit Rate. Okay, so let's think about two things. One, we've learned about slope, that's like how steep a line is. We've also learned it as like rise over run, or the change in the y values versus over the change in the x values, right? We've talked about it in a lot of different ways. But another way we can think about it is the unit rate, okay? And remember, a unit rate is when the second value in a ratio is 1, okay? So like examples of unit rates would be like miles per hour, right? That's like how many miles you can go in 1 hour, okay? That would be one example of a unit rate. So there are two different ways to determine the unit rate or the slope using a graph, okay? So one is you can divide the y-coordinate by the x-coordinate, okay? Because remember, it's the rise, that's your y, over your run, which is x. So then by dividing that, the y value by the x value, the x value would automatically turn into a 1. Or locate the y-coordinate that corresponds to an x-coordinate of 1. So we'll look at both moving forward. So let's do some examples. This first example is number 2 on your practice, okay? So we've got this graph, and it's talking about the number of points earned in the games, okay? So it goes through the origin, right? Or it should end. Technically, I just accidentally drew my line a little too long. But because if there have been 0 games, there would be 0 points that have been earned, right? So that makes sense. And these are averages. Now, if you notice, like if we use that second method, it's like, well, just find where 1 is on the graph for x value, right? But it crosses right here, and it's kind of like, I could estimate maybe that's at 25, but I don't know how accurate that is. But if we find a different value, like I noticed this one right here, for 5 games, it crosses right at 150. Okay, so my y value is at 150, my x value is at 5. So I can use that one, and I can say, okay, if we have 150 points in 5 games, well, I can do 150 divided by 5, which is 30 points out of 1 game. Okay, so to fill in the sentence, and this is the part that you would need to do on your practice, is an average of 30 points per game, or points were scored per game. Okay, that's what that would end up being. So we can look at these as like equivalent fractions. 150 divided by 5 is 30, 5 divided by 5 is 1, giving us 30 points per game. Okay, so looking at the two methods discussed in your lesson, that would be this first method. Divide the y-coordinate by the x-coordinate, right? That's what we just did right here. Okay, the second example I have set up for you is number 4 on your practice. It says to use similar triangles to determine the slope of the line. I'm not going to lie to you, that's probably my least favorite method. Okay, I just don't really like it, but it's up to you. If you like it, awesome. They set up similar triangles for you. They have this bigger one here, and then they have this little guy right here. Okay, so, but again, there's a couple things we can do. One thing I notice right off the bat is this point right here, 1, 2. Well, notice my x value is 1, and my y value is 2. So we can say it'd be 2 over 1. That's our slope, right? It's the rise, which is 2, over 1, which is how far we ran, okay? Or we could say that the slope is 2. Now we can use the similar triangles as well. We can say, okay, well, this first one, let's see, my rise is 6, and my run was 3. But then this little one here, notice from here to here, we rose 2 and ran 1. So equals 2 over 1. So once again, we're right back down to that slope of 2, right? 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2 over 1, or just 2. Okay? So the other two methods that I listed on the first page, I think are easier than worrying about similar triangles. All right, this last one that I have for you is problem number 3 that we're doing, but number 2 on your quick check. They've got two graphs set up for us, and it's like how many gallons can we get per dollar, basically. And so the final question, I didn't write everything down, but the actual question is asking is which store has cheaper gas? Okay, so notice we're given some points. Like this one, it's like, okay, for, let's see, 5 gallons, we would pay $20. Okay, or over here for $4, we're paying 14. So what we need to do is we need to take the Y value, which in this case would be 20, and divide it by the number of gallons we're getting. Well, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So what that tells us is that we're spending $4 per gallon. I can do the same thing over here. This time I have $14 for 4 gallons. Well, let's see, 14 divided by 4, I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'm going to throw it into my calculator. 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. So that's $3.50 per gallon. Okay, so in this case, and I forget what it is in your lesson, we'll just call this store 1 and this store 2. So store 2 has cheaper gas, and sometimes it's going to ask you too by how much. So we can say by 50 cents per gallon, right? This one, because it's 50 cents less than this one, so that's where that's coming from. Okay, so I hope that helps, and as always, if you need extra support, you just let me know. Have an awesome day.